We are joined right now by a senior NFL writer for The Athletic. He is in his 28th season of covering the league. He is a Pro Football Hall of Fame selector. He is a Professional Football Writers of America board member. He is co-author of the Football 100, the story of the greatest players in the NFL. It is Mike Sando. Mike, it is absolutely awesome to see you here on the road. Thanks for making time. How you doing?
I wouldn't miss it. I'm glad you're here this year and we can get to do this.
Yeah, exactly. So I mentioned Joe Brady just came on. I thought he showed up really, really well. Now that we've had some time to think about it and it's sunk in so far, what was your reaction to that hire? How do you think he'll do?
Well, he's going to do well because they have a good team and they have a great quarterback. And he's going to be connected with the quarterback. It's not going to just fall apart offensively. We've seen that he's been able to manage a top 5 offense. So I think that continues. You know, the longer-term component of this, you don't know as much in terms of what's he going to do with the staff, how's the defense going to look. You know, they promoted Brandon Beane at the same time. But that's a great job, I think, to get when you have a relationship with the quarterback. So he's in a lot better position than a lot of people are.
You know, he said exactly what you just said. So we have to go forward right now. I have to make some really important decisions about the staff. I said, well, you made one already. And I said, I'm kind of biased because we had a son that went to Wisconsin. And when I went to see him in Wisconsin, I spent some time with Jim Leonard. I sat with him. Yeah. I loved him as a player. I actually like that hire very, very much. How about you?
I do, too. I think that's a good hire. So, you know, that's an interesting team because unlike these other ones where you're going into Arizona, the Raiders, you're going to be measured by, like, how far you go in the playoffs right away. I mean, right. Sean McDermott got fired because he didn't get him at a certain point. But guess what? You're being measured as if Sean almost came back. It's not like you're going to get 1 year. But, like, you know, if they go one and done the next 2 playoffs, I mean, he doesn't get a 7-year run like McDermott got or 8 years or whatever, right?
No, and I think you made a great point because, and he knows this, right? McDermott got fired because he didn't get to the Super Bowl, implication being get to the Super Bowl or you're going to get fired,
yeah.
All right? But you know what's really interesting to me? Michael Bidwell's comments about hiring Mike LaFleur when he said, hey, look, we expect a turnaround, and I don't mean in 2 years, I mean in 1 year. I could see on the one hand where he might say that because look who's in the Super Bowl right now. The Patriots coming off a 4-win team, a 4-win season, and Seattle, but let's not get this twisted. It's not quite that simple, right?
No.
But now does everybody think, I mean, I know you can go from worst to first in 1 year, but I don't expect us to see the Cardinals and Raiders in the Super Bowl next year, do you?
No, I don't at all, especially in that division. But I feel like in that case, Michael Bidwell, are you putting the heat on Monty Austinfort, the GM who's been there? Because someone's believing you got the players, right? They spent a lot of money in free agency last year, loaded up on defense, and it didn't happen. And they lost a ton of, like, I think those coaches would have lasted there. They just lost every game. Like, they lost games they never should have lost. They were way ahead. Like, they couldn't, you can't just sustain that. You're going to lose your job if you don't win some of them. I think they would have got another year because, and get a chance to pick the next quarterback. So now what happens? Are you going to go in there and have to go with Kyler Murray? Are they moving on from him? I just feel like they're in a real tough situation in a stacked division.
So. Absolutely. I mean, let's not forget that, too, Mike. I mean, you are the owner of the team, respectfully, but 3 of those teams did make the playoffs, and 2 of those teams were in the NFC Championship game. So that's going to be a really tough task for me. Mike, as a Hall of Fame voter, now that we've had some time to fully examine it, didn't want to lead with it, but what are your thoughts on Bill Belichick not getting in on the first ballot?
Well, I think it's embarrassing. I voted for him. I voted for Kraft as well. But what I've learned, here's what I've learned. There's a lot of people on the committee that are that want to see the longest waiting people get in and think that that's a priority for them. And I knew there was some of that.
Is that a flaw in the process?
Yes. I think our job is to look at who's up that year and pick the best ones. You can't go wrong. But there's a lot of people that have been involved in voting for a long time, and they understand that, hey, these 3 senior candidates we may never see them again. We got a bunch of these guys we need to get in. And so if you think of the way the vote is, you've got a coach, a contributor, 3 seniors, and each voter has to pick 3, which means each voter has to pick a senior, right?
Sure.
Each voter doesn't have to pick one of the others. So if you got some of those guys doubling down on multiple seniors to try to get them in, that happened last year, and it didn't blow up as much because it wasn't Belichick missing, but Mike Holmgren missed. And I was really surprised because I've been through the whole process. Everybody liked Holmgren. I thought he was going to go in. And then I just was scratching my head. But now it's come to light because we've seen Mike Chappell, who's a voter, and Vahe Gregorian, who's a voter, say, yeah, we think we should go with seniors. And I'm like, well, then we need to change. We can't do that, number one. And then number 2, the structure of how it's set up, then you can't have seniors in there with better candidates who are going to lose out to them just because people want to put in seniors. So I think it has to be rectified right away to me.
All right, so how much of that, in your opinion, if you had to guess, and it's just guessing, how much of that is what we're talking about, voting for seniors because you have to, you're running out of time, and how much of that was just straight personal against Belichick?
I don't think there's a personal component against him. I think some of the Spygate stuff probably did factor for some, but the personal thing, what I think I'd like them to understand, I've tried to be very transparent about this, is if there's 50 people on that committee, 48 of them never were in the press conferences when Belichick was terse on Monday after the game. And a lot of them have had really great dealings with somebody like Bill Belichick. Like Bill Belichick, on Monday, if you ask him about some issue in the league, he's the best answer you're ever going to get. If you go to him privately and ask him about Hall of Fame players, he's great. Like Bill Belichick is not ruining everyone's day on the committee. Like you're not in there having him not calling you in the press conference. No one's doing that. These are people from all over the country. So the personal component of it, to me, there's been too many guys also that have just gone in who were this
bad
or that
guys,
personality-wise or whatever. You know, that's not it. That's not it. And I actually think that if they just had a lane, Belichick, and said, hey, yes or no Hall of Fame, raise your hand, and you need 40 votes, he would have gone right in. I believe that.
All right, so let me ask you this. If Spygate may have been an issue for some, why was it not an issue for you?
Well, it's not enough of an issue for me to be disqualifying. And it's kind of like we're taking the whole body of work in. So, like to me, if we had everyone who's going into the Hall of Fame and we were going to write their obituaries in advance, Spygate's not in the first paragraph of Belichick. It's not in the second paragraph. It's somewhere in there. Maybe it's in the top half of it. This guy was a competitor who pushed the rules and got caught for doing something that really a lot of other people said that everyone's doing. And I think it needs to be mentioned, but it's not defining. I mean, there's way too much beyond that, right? I mean, that's saying Wilt Chamberlain couldn't shoot free throws.
Yeah.
Okay.
Or Shaq.
Shaq couldn't shoot free throws. You had to take Shaq out at the end of the game. I don't care. He just broke the backboard on your head.
Yeah, it's where I come out. It's not nothing, but it's not enough to keep him out of the Hall of Fame and not even on the first ballot.
Yeah. The whole first ballot thing annoys me too. Just pick the best guys every year. Don't be a gatekeeper of first ballots. Like, you ever see the baseball one where they're like, it's the greatest player ever and he's not unanimous?
Right.
Because someone wants to do that?
To make a point.
It's not about you.
Right.
It's not about the voters.
Right.
It's about the hall and the legacies and the history. Honor it.
Mike Sando joining us. I appreciate you breaking that down. I appreciate your transparency as a voter, too, and sharing your thoughts on that. So every year you come on the program, we talk about this. You talk about this on a lot of programs. You survey NFL coaches and executives, and you place quarterbacks around the league on tiers.
Yeah.
What tiers were Sam Darnold and Drake May on entering this season, and where do you think they might land when next year's list drops?
Yeah, so they were kind of rising, but still in that third middle tier, which is, hey, legitimate starter, but you're probably going to need a little more defense and run game to really win big. And guess what? Those guys have had pretty good defense and some run game to help them win big. But I think they're definitely ascending. I mean, to get this on this stage, I think May was seen as an ascending player. So I would think May almost for sure would climb into that second tier. I always feel like top two tiers, you feel like you can win the Super Bowl without having the Ravens 2000 defense.
Yeah.
And then that third tier is usually more like, but it better be the Ravens, So I think those guys will both go up, and probably get themselves into tier two.
All right, so what about the matchup this year? What kind of a game are you expecting? And then who do you think comes out on top?
I do think Seattle's probably better throughout the roster in all three phases, just the special teams, and just that. I think that they will probably make a game-turning play on a special teams or a defense to help out their offense. And so I do give them the edge, but I will caution this. I've talked to a lot of people who've played New England this year. They were a lot more impressed after they played them than before. They're kind of this team that you look at and there's like nothing that really overly scares you.
Right.
You're not like, 37, man, game plan consideration, going to wreck the game. We got to have 5 guys. No, they just kind of out execute you. And I wrote about this today. I don't know if you noticed at the end of that Denver game when Stidham threw the pick. Very interesting how they pressed this. This was a game management victory. So there's 15 seconds on that play clock when Denver sends the 12th guy out of the huddle. You know how they always are playing those games. Now the Patriots get to sub. They don't sub fast. They send 3 huge guys out who jog. One of them turns back halfway. Those guys get out there, and the whole time the umpire's standing over the ball, this clock is going down, the play clock. It's getting under 10. Then the guys jog off who are leaving the game. Well, now, by the time that umpire takes his hand off the ball, there's 5 seconds on the play clock. He runs between the quarterback and he runs between the running back. So Stidham right now is under extreme duress. And he's snapping that ball under 5 seconds, not noticing probably that the corner's dropped off. And everyone thinks, oh, great play by the corner or terrible play. But that was kind of like set up. That's the types of things that, that Mike Vrabel does. And you're going to hear a lot about his game management guy, John Stryker. They do a lot of stuff like that. The key 4th and 1 in the game, they're going to have a subtle movement by a guy inside on defense, and you might jump. And now it's 4th and 6. They're not going to do it every time. But they do a bunch of little clever things like that add up.
So Stidham may be likely to fall for something like that. What about Sam Darnold?
Well, it's not falling for it. There's either 3 seconds left or there's not.
Yeah, right.
And I think if you can do things like that to create stress on an opponent in something that typically should be stressful for the defense, hey, they're subbing, right? But they are kind of the masters of some of these different things. Or late in the game, they're better than other teams at like unpiling slowly when you're trying to go fast. All of those little types of things are seconds and in the margins here that they're really good at, and they can steal some games that way. And I think they closed out Denver. There was a 3rd and 10. They did the same thing in that game that they won 3rd and 10. So
it's all really good food for thought. Can you see them winning that game?
I can see them winning the game. I think I think Seattle has shown on offense that they can turn it over, and the quarterback can be a part of that. They don't have their number 2 running back, who's a great pass protector. So depending on what type of a game it is, it's all about, in all these games, creating stress on the quarterback. But we've seen Darnold react good and bad to the stress. I think this last game was the happy medium. Before against the Rams, he was either going to take 9 sacks or throw 4 picks. It was kind of no in between. This last one, he stood in there, guys were hitting him, and he made good throws. But he has that in him to we'll see on the big stage, is he going to have 2 interceptions or something? I think that's the path for New England.
All right, so one last thought about that. You mentioned Sam Darnold. You wrote a great book, The Football 100. So you know the history of the sport. You have a great appreciation there. Is there any kind of comp for Sam Darnold in the sense that he went from being a guy that was highly picked to being an alleged bust or an actual bust to becoming a Super Bowl quarterback? Is there a comp?
I'm sure that there is if you go back. I mean, Jim Plunkett.
That's it, right?
Yeah, Jim Plunkett for sure. Was a disappointment with New England and had a terrible career, bad teams. And
First pick overall.
Yeah, and then out of Stanford, and then went and won 2. So I'm just thinking of the other guys who won it. I wouldn't really put Jeff Hostet. Well, Rich Gannon didn't win it, but Rich Gannon definitely got that second life with the Raiders and had a great offense, and then things got away from him in the game. But it's I think that if tell me what you think about this. If Darnold throws 5 picks against the Rams, do the Vikings change their GM?
We've been talking about this all week long. Like, isn't it strange, the timing of it? I mean, is it only a Sam Darnold thing? Is it only a J.J. McCarthy thing? Or is it a number of other things? Namely, he missed on so many draft picks. Namely, the quarterback thing. Namely, is it an alignment thing? Is it a culture thing? Like,
it's all those things.
It's all those things.
It's all those things, but at some point there's a straw that breaks the camel's back. And the thing you have to realize about these owners.
Dude, the optics were horrible, all right? Sam Darnold is in the Super Bowl.
But the owners, everyone talks about, well, would this be a good process? It doesn't matter. The owner gets to do what they want to do, what's in their gut. And so when we talked about the McDermott getting fired, what did the owner say? I went in that locker room after the game. I said, we're not doing this.
See, let me jump in. This is interesting because you're talking about the owner does what's in his gut, and we understand that. Now, I had Chad Graff on earlier today who covered the Vikings. He works for The Athletic as well. He said, I know that the Wilfs are very, very deliberate. They're very intentional. It was interesting. That was his take.
Yeah, they also are known for, their offices are in New Jersey. They're known for summoning people back there for uncomfortable conversations. And I wrote it in my column last week. I said, how long before the Wilfs have some power brokers come to New Jersey for a little self-scouting? Well, I guess it was about 4 days. I'm not surprised. I wasn't predicting
any of it. By any of it, or
I wasn't. I'm not going to say this. I wasn't predicting, but I was alluding to the owners get to do these things, and at the end you can have whatever process you want, but if you own that team, and you get to a point where something really bothers you, or you were wavering, and now you see something, you get to do that, and so. They played their last game January 4th. They fired him on January 28th. They didn't play any games. They had meetings and stuff.
That's my thing. The timing is more surprising than the actual
Yeah,
firing.
2 really good Sam Darnold games where they won and went to the Super Bowl. And if that doesn't happen, I think the odds of Kwesi still being there are higher.
I think. I can't dispute that. I can't. So final thought, what if Sam does not have a good game? This narrative has flipped, right? He's got the monkey off his back, but what if he does not have a good game? Has the narrative not flipped?
No, I think that getting them there still counts. Now, look, if he just has a terrible game with 4 picks or something, he's going to have to live with that. And the real Sam Darnold, and people say that. But I think he's earned a lot of sympathy. I think he's or benefit of the doubt.
Yeah.
And the thing I notice is like his teammates. Like you can't fake that. Like these guys
him.
have had his back. Like there's some realness to him behind the scenes and the way he prepares and what he's about. That I actually think they're a lot less nervous than everyone else is watching him in those key moments. I think he's better than
He's
that.
a dude. They know he's a dude.
Yeah,
they love him.
Yeah, so, anyone can go out and throw 2 picks in the Super Bowl. We've seen a lot of great quarterbacks do it. John Elway's, I mean, it happens. So, but if it does, that to me, it's not going to define him. I think he's a good player.
Good. Mike Sando joining us on the road. Mike, so good to see you. Really appreciate you, man. Thanks so much.
Thank
Great
you,
job.
yeah.
Really good to see you. Appreciate it.
Yep.
All right. Mike Sando. Definitely want to read him. One of the best. All right, quick timeout. Clones, listen up. Super Bowl week. It's the final stretch of the football season. The takes are hot. The stakes are higher. And the days somehow get longer. And whether you're holding court at a buddy's place, catching the big game at the bar, or dreaming about getting back up to the lake, you need something that can hang. That something is this. Twisted Tea. Twisted Tea is a refreshing, hard iced tea made with real brewed tea and 5% alcohol. And here's the thing. It tastes like real iced tea because it is real brewed tea, full flavor, super refreshing, no carbonation. It goes down smooth, the kind of drink that you can ride with all day long, dockside, fireside, couch side, while you're breaking down coverages, firing off takes, and talking ball with the crew. Backyard setup, games on, good people around. Twisted Tea absolutely delivers. This is Lake Day energy, playoff energy. It's the drink that keeps the good times rolling right through the end of the football season. From kickoff to final whistle, do not overthink it. Grab a Twisted Tea. Turn your day up a notch. Find it near you at twistedtea.com/locations. Follow them at Twisted Tea.